Okay. It's Thursday. Well, for this segment, it is definitely. Get your hashtags up. We are throwing it right back 10 years, 20 years, and 30 years in the world of gems of movies that were released this week, 10 and 20 and 30 years ago. Okay, bro, hit me.
Yep, it's our classic movie watch, and we basically are now going to add a little something to this for those of you who have watched regularly. We are going to decide whether these movies should be forgotten to the annals of history, of movie history, or if they're deserving of a rewatch, be that on streaming or a nice little Blu-ray 4K order. And AJ, 10 years ago this week, part 2 of this trilogy.
I hate when I hear that.
Right? From James Mangold, The Wolverine.
Was Man of Steel? Did Man of Steel come up recently at our throwback?
A few weeks ago,
Yeah. Because those were the two films that I had on Blu-ray when I first bought my PS4. So that tells me my PS4 is at a certain age right now. Yes, I'm a PS5
Yes,
owner now, so that's the throwbacks. I'm getting to it. It's a weird film, The Wolverine. Like it, I appreciated it. It had good storytelling. But I also was, can we step away from Wolverine, please? Like X-Men Origins just became more and more focused on him. It's like we had Wolverine, then the Wolverine, and you're like, really? And still nothing for Cyclops? Where's the Gambit movie? Like it just started to get a bit tedious, you know? But saying that, it was still a very good movie. It was always secondary to me because of, I think, a bit of the Wolverine fatigue, and also for the fact that in that weekend that I got this machine, it was Man of Steel and Wolverine. Now, being a massive Wolverine fan and not being the biggest Superman fan, I was spun on my axis. Superman, Man of Steel blew me away so much that I never really remember the Wolverine. I kind of like, I've seen it, I've enjoyed it, but I think it's a one-time watch. I may have seen it twice, but it was Man of Steel that was the winner. That upon purchase kind of thing. So, do I have the Blu-ray? Yeah, it's in one of my really useful boxes somewhere. It's a thumbs up for me because it's not a bad film. It's a middle ground. It's not, but it's not like, hey, it's just there.
I'm unsurprisingly probably a bit more critical of this movie than you are. I think there's something there. There's definitely something there in this movie. I like the idea of sending Wolverine to Japan. I like the idea of Wolverine taking up the samurai sword and fighting the coolest Japanese actor ever, Hiroyuki Sanada. It's like, so Wolverine's going to fight Hiroyuki Sanada. On that ground alone, I'm in. I'm in like a mofo. The problem with this story, while listen, I think the fight scene on the bullet train was so cool, hyper inventive. The movie falls off the face of the earth in Act 3 when they bring in Silver Samurai, and it's just weak. I enjoyed the initial playing of history where Wolverine survives the nuclear bomb in Hiroshima and helps them, save someone in the process. And this someone then comes back for him later on in life. There was something there. It was nothing earth shattering or groundbreaking, but there was a modicum of something interesting there, but it didn't quite land. It had some fun set pieces, had some good ideas. I wouldn't ever suggest that you go out and add this to your collection. But if it's on TV, if it's on streaming, and you've never seen it, check it out. You could do worse, but it's a middle of the ground veering towards a down, just not quite a down for me. But watch it on streaming if it's there, but I wouldn't give this your money. 20 years old, AJ. Part 2 again.
There we go.
This is crazy. This is really crazy. Tomb Raider, the Cradle of Life.
Good old Angelina. I do see Angelina, and I still do think to myself, she is Lara. I can't separate it. It's something.
Oh God,
there.
I don't.
I still need to see Vikanda's movie, so it's a bit unfair. But I feel like I need to play the game first. It's a different situation. I don't know if this is going to surprise you. It's a thumbs down. It's not one of those that I remember being fondly enjoying. I remember really enjoying Tomb Raider 1 as a movie. This one just felt a bit weak. I again, for a sequel, like, I know sequel. This is what gives sequels a bad rap. Like, you get some films that you're all over, and then you others that is utterly forgettable. Is this the one where she repeats something like 3 or 4 times at the end, or was that the first? I can't. It just didn't stick to me. There was nothing redeemably memorable about this film, and that's the sad thing. If you are going to watch, if you're a completionist and you've seen Tomb Raider 1, then yes, go for it. Anything short of that, if it's like I enjoyed 1 and I'm happy at just that, I don't think you need to rush to number 2. I don't recall having a good time with this film.
Yeah, I'm very much going to mimic what you have to say. I think again, for me, I wouldn't even be that generous with part 1. I think part 1 was meh. It's fine. It's like, as bad, this is coming. Part 1 came out not too long after that Super Mario Bros. Movie came out, where video game movies were the laughing stock, along with comic book movies back then. They were the laughing stock. So Lara Croft came out and was like, okay, you're not terrible. We're grading on a curve here, but you're not terrible. Minimum standards have been met. It wasn't anywhere near meriting a sequel, other than the fact that Tomb Raider used to be a huge IP.
The biggest at the time.
Huge. Like, she was the lady of PlayStation. I mean, I don't think Lara Croft is the face of PlayStation anymore. Like, absolutely not. You've got your Ratchet and Clanks, you've got your Kratoses, you've got your Nathan Drakes. Like, Lara Croft doesn't register anymore.
It just like the new Tomb Raider collections come out and people don't talk about it. Tomb Raider and Metal Gear.
Even though it's really good, by the way. The new Tomb Raiders are really good.
I'm not saying they're not, but the world just doesn't talk about it. I think some of the games just went the wrong way, and it just really damaged them before the reboot. It really, really damaged Tomb Raider.
The movies were not great. The games that followed the movies were not on par with the original Tomb Raider 1 and Tomb Raider 2. Like, they just got progressively worse and worse and worse till it.
The original trilogy was good. After that, it went terrible.
Angel of Darkness and all that was just like, ugh, just so bad. And listen, this movie, at least in the first Tomb Raider, she kind of raided sort of one tomb. She doesn't even raid tombs in this one. It's just like generic action movie with white people. It's like, okay, so it's a hard thumbs down for me. I certainly wouldn't add this to anyone's digital or physical media collection. I wouldn't even waste your time watching this, to be honest. If it's on, move on to the next channel. I think this can be forgotten in the annals of history, especially considering the Vikander version is way better.
It's a step above a Uwe Boll movie.
Oh, it's again grading on a curve. Getting hard on a curve. 30 years old, AJ. Woo. We have 2 movies in the 30-year-old category this week. One of them a worldie, one of them that I think is going to send shivers down your spine. Which would you like first?
Let's go for the worldie.
One of, in my humble opinion, the all-time great comedies. It's a favorite here. Cary Elwes as Robin Hood, Men in Tights.
Jesus Christ. Men in Tights. This is when people knew how to do spoofs. This is when people knew how to do slapsticks. And I don't know where it fits in this world, but on a personal level, it's a thumbs up. It has to be seen. I don't know what the generations beneath me will say, but I had great fun with this. What this has done is thrown me back to a time when we were Sky owners, and this is my family. I can't speak for anyone else. When I say we were Sky owners, you may still be a Sky member.
Still am, brother.
Sky Movies just used to churn out the same movies over and over again, and this is one that we had so much fun with. I can't say I didn't. It's amazing how you can watch something so many times and be a bit blank along the way. But I remember having great fun with it and watching it every time it came up. It was great fun. Nothing but fun memories. I don't know where it fits in the world, but if you can relate to the silver screen dudes and our style of comedy, this is definitely one for you. If you just appreciate the news delivery, it's more of a thumbs here, like middle ground. I will never give it a thumbs down. So it's going to be middle ground or thumbs up. That's just where it sits. It depends on your age and how you embrace comedy of a bygone era. I just have to be real with that.
You're quite right. It very much is comedy of a bygone era, as we don't really get slapstick anymore, sadly. You know, the scary movies, the Not Another Teen movies, the vampire movies, all of the your Vampires Suck or Meet the Spartans, all of those modern slapsticks were so bad that they kind of killed the slapstick genre. I would argue that it could use a revival now. But
In the right hands.
this
In the right hands.
in the right hands, correct. You know, I wouldn't want to see them cast someone like Will Ferrell in a slapstick movie. It would just be painful. He's slapstick without being slapstick. But this came out in an era where Mel Brooks, you know, was at his, you know, we had Blazing Saddles, we had Dracula Dead and Loving It, we had this, you know, these are all, we had Spaceballs, these are all must-see
Hot shots,
slapsticks.
like
Hot Shots, Hot Shots Part 2, Naked Gun,
Naked Gun.
Spy Hard. Yeah, man. Austin Powers, I would argue, is a slapstick. You know, we had
that is the last of the spoof, really. That was the only
Yeah.
good one, and then it went into stupidness.
This is a real slice of cinematic history. I would say if you're a physical or a digital movie collector and not just a streamer, definitely add this to your collection because it's going to become progressively harder and harder to find. So you want to preserve that piece of cinema history. It has got, listen, it's a great time if you're drunk. It's a great time if you're stoned. It's a great time if you're sober. It really doesn't matter because it's just laughs all around between the references that they make to the other Robin Hood movies when Robin Hood was played by American actors, because unlike other Robin Hoods, I have a British accent. Sorry, one of the all-time brilliant comedy slapstick lines. So good. Little attention to details like the way that Prince John's mole keeps moving all over his face. The Sheriff of Nottingham with his speech impediment. You know, even Patrick Stewart gets in on the action playing King Charles at the end. It top to bottom, it is such fun. Maid Marian with her chastity belt. Call a locksmith. Call the locksmith. Call the locksmith. Darling, it won't open. You know, Dave Chappelle getting in on the action. You know, it was fun. Such fun. So it's a definite thumbs up for me, and I would say you must find this movie if you haven't seen it. Even if you don't like it, experience it for the first time.
I can agree with that.
And we go from a high to a low, AJ.
Oh,
do you remember when? Yeah, no. Do you remember when Saturday morning cartoons were awesome, and then they started to turn our Saturday morning cartoons into movies, and they lost sight of what they are? 30 years old, AJ. The Tom and Jerry movie.
Do you know a fun fact?
I've never seen this.
I've only seen 10 minutes of the film. I've seen them realize. So here's the sad thing about the Tom and Jerry movie. Was I excited to see it? Yes, and it's weird that I still haven't got around to seeing it. And I'm gonna say this very quietly. My ex had that film, and I think she used to watch it quite a bit. Weirdly had it. And one of the things that I always remember threw me off and kind of put me off as much as I wanted to see it. It intrigued me, but always put me off. Tom and Jerry spoke. And that felt extremely wrong because for generations, like my dad grew up on Tom and Jerry. My dad introduced me to Tom and Jerry, and not a single word was said. We had the probably very racist and not to be seen in the modern day cartoon old lady who owned the house going, Thomas, and you know that was as much as you heard, or you'd hear a dog talk. But Tom and Jerry will never ever talk. Like it's just the way it was. And then mysteriously the film opens up and it's like, oh, you can talk, so why have you never spoken? I didn't think you could talk. And that was the kind of, that's as much as I've seen in the film, and I just never got a chance to go deeper. What I will say, and this sounds extremely wrong, I can't put a thumbs up, I can't put a thumbs down or a middle ground. It does feel like this cartoon is better than the one that Chloe Grace Moretz was in. That's the only upside I can give this. I've not seen either, but it just felt like it was a better delivery than that one. I really wish I could say more.
Couldn't tell you about the Chloe Grace Moretz one because haven't seen that. But Tom and Jerry, look, what you've just said is wonderful. Your dad introduced it to you. My great grandmother introduced it to me. It was pure Saturday morning cartoon goodness. It was like a flavor of the 70s, 80s, 90s, you know? It was, this is the cartoon you watch. And you didn't need to have the characters speaking because it was so well written and so simple in what they were doing that you didn't need dialogue. It was a story told through movement. It was good. And, you know, people will argue, well, how would you do a Tom and Jerry movie if they're not going to talk? Quite simple. If you can't figure that out, don't do the movie. Because in doing so, you have completely lost touch of who the characters are. In 20 minutes, go onto YouTube and look up a Tom and Jerry episode called Blue Cat Blues. In 20 minutes, without any proper dialogue, they managed to tell a really cohesive narrative about Tom falling in love with a girl who's out of his reach. They managed to do a narrative commentary on social classes. They managed to reinvent the relationship between Tom and Jerry as friends instead of enemies, and they become kind of frenemies by the end. But Jerry's there to pick him up, and when he's feeling down and heartbroken and broke and suicidal, all without needing to speak. Powerful cartoon filmmaking. It's on YouTube, Blue Cat Blues. Go check it out. And in that 20 minutes, they managed to do more than anything in the hour and a half that the movie could do. And it was without talking. I would give a thumbs up to the Tom and Jerry IP. I would say go and watch some classic Tom and Jerry and, you know, turn a blind eye to the racist nanny, as you said, because it's different time. But hard thumbs down to the Tom and Jerry movie because it lost the essence of what the Tom and Jerry franchise is. And that does it for this week's edition of Silver Screen News. Thank you, as always, so much for joining us right here on our YouTube channel. Thank you for helping us reach 120 followers. It's really, really appreciated. 120 subscribers. But I still see a lot of you watching and not subscribing. So if that is you, hit the subscribe button down below, and you can join us every single Wednesday for the latest edition of Silver Screen News, and every single Tuesday for our new movie Mount Rushmore Top 10. Keep it on the channel because we've got a new video coming out every day with all the latest trending news stories. So until next week, from myself, I'm Nico Luro.
I'm the one AJ Anthony Jordan.
And we will see you guys next week. Thank you so much for joining us. Now go to the cinema and watch some movies.